board so that we can catch up on some of the stuff later. This is a really interesting one. Now, Vicky is a master. There's a couple of people I know in this team who are masters of applications and masters of applying. Um, and I think it's really interesting because it's not an easy market at the moment in the UAE, particularly for leadership. But Vicky
Yeah.
is master of, like, she's incredible, honestly. If I'm going to apply for my next job, I'm going to Vicky. Um, but what would you offer as suggestions, Vicky? Because you get interviews all over the world.
Yeah, no, I do, but it is there's an organization, they actually offer AI. If you look on LinkedIn, every once in a while, adverts to help for AI to help you organize yourself is there. And if there's a next time for me, I will probably do that because I saw those towards the end of my job search. So I was organizing manually. I had a spreadsheet so that I could see like who and when and what I'd applied for. Because and that's important because some schools, if you have already applied for them, they'll ask you that. And so you need to go back, and because it's like within a year or within a certain amount of time. So you need to be able to know when it was. And if you put in an application, some recruiters, if you put it in with a school, a recruiter can't do anything for you. Sometimes if you put anything in that chain, they can't do anything. So you need to know what, when, and where. And then watching on Facebook, joining all the international groups, and just being on Facebook because the schools will advertise. LinkedIn, they will advertise, and then tests and the various job fairs.
Yeah.
And so having all of those, and then just, I got, I think, 3 interviews from adverts on Facebook because some schools don't want to pay anymore for the agencies, so they're doing their own advertising.
Yeah.
And word of mouth is always a big one.
Well,
And
that's
I,
kind of what I'm going off of at the moment is a bit of word of mouth. But I didn't realize that the schools that I'm working for, I didn't realize that the schools that I'm working for, apparently, if it's on your CV that you've worked for these kind of schools, that you can sometimes be judged before they even meet you. Does that make sense? Yeah, there
What
you go.
what
yeah.
kind of school are you in?
I'm in a very, very nice school, but I didn't realize that if this was on your CV, that it might come against you a little bit.
Sometimes if you are, I'll say
Yeah.
it next, sometimes if you are working only for an American school, sometimes if you are working only for charter, sometimes if
Mhm.
you are working only in public schools, and you haven't got any private school practice in your background, it's those sorts of things. Sometimes certain companies, like if you're tagged to certain companies, it's harder.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but Vicky, you put hi Angelique.
Hi.
Angelique's another one too who has got a great story to tell us today. But so I know Vicky, you've got a great CV. How strong is your cover letter?
That's important to tailor
Yeah.
for each, and really go through the website. If you know anyone on LinkedIn, look at what they're posting about their school so that you can get that flavor in there. So I look at the website, I look at the advert, answer everything on the advert because that makes a difference. I found agencies more effective than answering test ads because schools just get flooded. So if they put their own ad on Facebook, that means their HR is watching it. But if they do any automated things like Schroll and what's the other one, Test, there's a couple of those automated portals that they're not watching. They can't keep up with the flood that comes through.
Honestly, like I sit on the other side of Tess, and have done for the last few years, and I bring it up with my HR like every few days, and I'm like, okay, let's scroll through this. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And before we even open up a CV, like it's ruthless. Like you've got about 30 seconds on, no, well, not even that, 10 seconds, 15 seconds on test with the first few lines to grab somebody. Um, that's super, super, super hard. Now, do you add a portfolio with yours, Vicky?
I haven't, but I know somebody who's recently joined this call that has a fancy one. So I will be asking her for advice on that if I have a next one. But it's actually just quite nice and something I'd like to bring to the staff, to have that as part of staff meetings. So people are, because I think it invites you to be much more reflective.
Yeah, once upon a time, a long, 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 long time ago, when I was starting my career, we used to do exactly that. We would like have our CV together, and then we'd have a portfolio with, in those days, have physical photos, even before digital photos, all nicely put together with an additional portfolio there of photos and how you could evidence what you were doing. And it was a really attractive piece for people. They would say, "Oh my God, I can actually see what you do," as opposed to just a story. Like I know in my cover letter now, I've got links to one leadership and pictures, but links to just different things that I've written or developed or videos and things like that. I bring in some of my profile stuff from my Working Genius, or I bring in profiles from some of the other tools that we use. And that really just sort of stands out for people. Miss Angelique, spill your beans. Come on. One, the celebration that we've got to have. And then
can I just sign the papers before we have a celebration?
Oh, come on. And how you got there.
Okay, so signing the papers first. It's sitting here. I need to read through a lot of paperwork that came with the papers. But how I got there was coming out of my comfort zone and networking when I didn't. It's difficult to always network. I know that's how I met Arna officially to begin with, was going to conferences and going to events and networking and kind of opening up your heart and your mind to different possibilities. That possibility has opened up doors in Saudi, which is quite an adventure to go on. And yeah, I agree with what Vicky said about the portfolio. I think that helped a lot because I know when I was in the interviews, they made reference to bits and pieces of the portfolio. So they already had seen it. They were opening up. They had my CV and my portfolio opened up on one screen while I was talking through the other. So they didn't need much. And then I think the extra piece that really landed the job is they'd asked me some questions about mapping out curriculum. And I took a little bit of time to map out a quick unit on just a template that I have that I created and emailed it to them along with a copy of a CPD that I had given on similar subjects that they'd asked me about. And I think that really sealed the deal because that could give them all the visuals that they needed.
Yeah. I think there are a couple of things, like I'm not going to spill the beans of like the ins and outs and things because that's your announcement, but a couple of things with Angelique is she knew she needed to move. She knew she didn't need, she wanted desperately to move because she wanted to feel more satisfied and more valued in her work. And I think there are people all over this page right now, all over this thing that wanted to move to feel, and including myself, where like my next blog I'm going to write is about leaders' value. And when you feel valued and you feel like you can contribute, and that even when you are not doing it quite so well, that you are still appreciated and built and you can grow, that you stop second guessing yourself. And that's one for Saj and Nick. You stop second guessing yourself and you actually start to believe. So Angelique knew that to do that, she needed to probably pivot and find someone that in a leadership team that could do that. And I think, Vicky, you were feeling the same thing, looking for that. Where can I find kindness in my life? And that belief in you. And once you take that huge step, like Angelique resigned before she even had a job, Nick, because in her contract and with some of the others, it's a 6-month lead time, not just a 3-month lead time or a 1-month notice and things. And then she started to look. And I think number one is networking. Is networking and turning up to job fairs, like taking the risk and going to a job fair and introducing yourself in person to people. that between networking and conferences and online, but networking, knowing people, turning up, you never know where that next discussion is going to go. And Vicky had a similar situation. She was at a job fair. She spoke to somebody at a table, and now suddenly she's got this fantastic job. She spoke to somebody at the table because there was nobody else there. And so having those conversations, networking with people, and then proving what you can do. And putting the time into, I know when I've put a time into a CV or a time into, invested my time into a connection, it's gone a lot further than just sending off the CV. And Saj, maybe you can jump in here. You are one sitting in a place where you are feeling really valued, and they're just telling you to get over yourself and actually make your own decisions instead of checking in all the time. And that's trauma. That's trauma and previous experience speaking. But two, you're sitting in a place now where one, networks have created a plethora of applications that you are considering to employ, but you are going on prove it first and then interview. So, Saj, jump in.
Yep. So I think, when you said like Angelique has been feeling undervalued at the place of work, I'm kind of like now the opposite. I'm a bit overvalued at the moment. And I think Friday I had a bit of a moment about that. It's like, oh my God, like I feel overwhelmed because of the amount of things that are put or the expectation that is there of me. Because I've been able to prove myself, and now it sometimes gets a bit much. And because I'm a perfectionist, I need everything to be perfect before submission. So it does put an added stress on myself in that sense. But yeah, building those relationships, it was a while, and it needed me to be patient. It definitely needed the patience. And I don't regret it. I don't regret past experiences because it's because of those experiences that I am where I am right now. And I mean, members from my past experience are now like, oh, please, can we have her back? Like, we sing Saj in our element, because not necessarily that Saj was never able to do what she's doing right now, but perhaps because she's never been awarded the opportunity to showcase. So now that they see it, there's more value in it. Building those relationships in a place of trust, I think, makes such a big difference because, okay, yes, I am afraid to just get on with it and make decisions because I don't want to fail. Not because I don't believe in myself, but it's because I just don't want to fail. I just don't want to make the wrong decision. Again, that comes from my downfall of being a perfectionist, I would say. But being always, I think, just being told thank you, being appreciated at every given opportunity, makes such a big difference. I'm now surrounded with it. I mean, well, my leader, my boss, every single thing, big or small, always comes with a thank you.
Yeah.
It's always followed with a thank you. Even if it's just a small presentation or staff briefing, it's acknowledged with a thank you. And it just goes a long way. And he has a rule that if I say thank you, you're not allowed to say thank you back. So it's like, he's like not in the same sentence, not in the same day. You're not allowed to
Because
say
he's
thank
Irish,
you.
Dad.
It's because he's Irish.
He's Irish. And
Well,
we're the best, yeah?
there's another Irish who's working on my bloody nerves, Nicola, at the moment. From a particular company that does not want to leave me alone.
But I
Has
think there's
promised me a
real
first-class
value in
ticket.
that, Saj. Is like my thing is what can you do to impact on your team positively, and what can leaders do to impact on you positively? Vicky and I, before we started recording the call and before the rest of you got on here, she said, there are quirks about this place, but actually what I really love is that people are nice. They do
Yeah.
nice things, and honestly, when you've got that clarity, and clarity can be direct, but when you feel valued and when people are kind and people are nice, you'll do anything.
Mm.
Well, not quite, but you will. Like, it's nicer to go to work. It's more pleasant. It's like you've got more energy. You're not second guessing. You're actually more innovative, more creative. And I'm like, this is the song that we as a collective here on the screen have been preaching for how long?
Mm.
And we all experience it ourselves. Like, Nick, you're working for a boss that you really enjoy. And I know you want to move for all sorts of reasons, but you enjoy, for the most part, your boss. He values you. Saj, you're in that situation where you've worked through some interesting relationships and you've seen the joy and the value in each of those relationships, but you are actually feeling valued. Angelique, you're going to a situation where you think, actually, these people might value my skills. They might appreciate me. And so far, my experiences have been caring and thoughtful and honest. Um, like, I'm moving tomorrow officially to my
Woohoo!
next job. Woohoo! Um, and so far, my experiences with this new boss is she's incredibly direct. My husband knows her, and again, it's a network. But he said she's just another version of you.
Oh, that's funny.
And it's so funny because she knows my husband, and in this country it suits so well. Every time we meet, she's like, "So how is our husband?" And we share this husband. And she's like, I said, "Well, he is, because what I value about her is she is so direct and so honest about what she wants, and she leaves me alone. She understands me. And when I want her help, she answers. And she says, "You're doing a great job." Like, I've been playing and helping and writing a CEF and things like that. And I did that in 40 hours, sent it to her. And I was so scared because she's a tribal trainer. Like, she trains people for inspections and she trained me. And I know how ruthless and brutal she can be on feedback. And she came back and she said, "Excellent job." And I was like, And she said, "You've got 2 words to fix up." And I was like, And she said, "No, that's it." And I'm like, I
Wow.
value that because it's direct and it's clear. And oh, actually, I might go to work on Monday. I might feel safe about going to work. Like, I've been playing and you feel out the water. You feel out, how are these relationships going to work? Am I going to be safe? Moving job is such a risk because you don't know what you're going to get in reality until you actually get there. And I'm like, oh, Monday could be fun. Long and short of it, though, we've got inspection this week. So I start officially on Monday and we've got inspection on Wednesday. Woo! Way to start with a blast. Saj, the second half of my question is, now you've got this great swarm of CVs and you are in a lovely place of sitting on the other side of CVs. How are you going about choosing people, and how are you going about doing your selection? Like, you're doing, come in and show me first, and then I might interview you.
Um, I think, okay, the first part of that, Anna, how am I doing my selection? People that come highly recommended go on top of my list, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. So again, there's that networking, but and how important that networking is. Um, for me, there's 2 things. People interview well. There's a lot of people that can tell you what you want to hear because they do a lot of reading, they do a lot of prep based on what you want to hear, and they say the right things, and you get it from the interview, that they just know the exact things to say when they need to say it. So they've obviously been prepped. And the reason for seeing it in action is because that's the reality of the situation. And for me, that's the biggest stakeholders in there is the kids. And if you pass the kids, then fantastic. Then we have a go. And I particularly had one person that I had this session with, which was a lesson demo, and then day after an interview, and a lesson demo blew me away. It blew me away. Fantastic in the classroom. Just her rapport. I was like, does this woman ever run out of steam? I wonder. Yeah. And then she didn't interview that well. I mean, I really had to pull it out of her because I knew she knew. And just maybe the way we were asking the questions, she wasn't able to articulate it in the way that she wanted to answer it in the way she thought we wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
And I was like, just forget all this crap and just be authentic and just speak from the heart and speak from your passion. So if that's one bit of advice that I can give anybody about interview is stop worrying about what people want to hear. It's about go with your gut and speak about what you're comfortable with. And I myself didn't get to where I am because I just wanted to think, well, yes, obviously we did interview prep. I racked your brains on it. But I just spoke about what I really am confident and I knew. And I had it in my head that if it's not what the school wants, that's okay. Because then
Yeah.
that's a school problem and not a me problem. Because
Yeah.
what I'm gonna stay true to my integrity and my authenticity. And I think that is very, very important and a very important component. So when candidates can do that and where they are hearts on their sleeves, I'm ready to go. Because you can teach skills, you can teach, but they need to have the drive, they need to have the passion, they need to be in it for the right reason. If they are willing, I'm happy to teach. So that's where I'm at. And I think based on interviews, again, people have interviewed very well. They come in and I want to shoot myself as I wanted to this weekend.
Tell me, why do you have the practical component and why do you put it first?
I think the practical component for me is important because it'll judge or really weigh a lot on the way a person interviews and the responses that they give. Because when you get to that generic question of, tell me about an outstanding lesson that you have had, you can then refer to the lesson that you currently saw and why it went well or why it didn't particularly go so well. And what were the elements in there or components in there that made it so?
Have you ever employed somebody that's done a shit lesson or a crap lesson?
Well, this is the first time I've ever done this way of interviewing. So I will tell you after a week or so. I will come back
because
to respond
I
to this.
think, you know,
But I doubt I'm going to have a bad lesson because
Well, you
again, these
might.
are people based on
You
recommendation.
might have somebody that freezes like I know our dear friend Anima, every time I go in to do a lesson observation that's planned, her lessons are never as strong and gorgeous as when I just walk into one of her lessons. And so I got to the stage when I was leading and working with her that I never told her I was coming in for a planned observation. I just turned up. And every single time I turned up, I got a fantastic lesson with her. And she excelled in that. So there are chances where people like I think it's really interesting too because Saj is inviting people to her campus and she's giving them the prep, telling them the grade and the standards and da 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 da. And they're interviewing, teaching, like modeling a lesson in her school. And as I was driving the other day, Saj, I was thinking, oh, well, you could just go over to their campus and visit them in their classes and things like that. And then the other side of it, I thought, actually, not everybody's working in an environment at the moment that allows them to teach or work in the way that they want to work. Where if they come to you, they can do it absolutely their way.
Absolutely.
And show you exactly or partly a long way towards what they could and would do if they had the freedom and the transparency away from a system or, you know.
And something you said there, Anna, is very important because like I could have given them the PowerPoint to go with the lesson that I expect them to teach. What I did was I gave them the Walt and the standard, and I was like, go with it. I want to see what you bring to the table. I don't want you to be
Yeah.
able to be boxed in a lesson plan or boxed in the way that the delivery is currently having, because like I want to see the authenticity come out. I want to see you. I want to see what you showcase and what you are able to bring to the table as well. And I
Are you
mean, the
telling
fact
them
that this teacher, sorry,
Are you telling them
no,
that you
I
want to
didn't
see?
tell them.
This is what I want to see. I want to see what you can bring to the table. I want to see your authenticity. Because I
No,
think
that's important. Yeah,
in
that
saying that, because that gives them the confidence
yeah,
to actually bring their max to the table and to
that
not
that's
second
true.
guess what does she want.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Maybe that's a good follow up for the people for this week. So I'll probably get on them emails because I've got somebody coming in tomorrow. Bless them. But yeah,
Nice.
it's that. I mean, the lady that came in on Friday, she got an email on Thursday because she had given me the day, and she said she wants to come on Friday, and I said, well, will you be able to do a demo on Friday? And this is the standard. If not, it's okay. We can reschedule. But she was, I mean, I think then she was like, oh my God. And she said she just started grabbing things. But the fact that she was able to, first of all, we had character day, book character day. All children were dressed in costumes. It's a Friday and we know what that's like. Um, and she was able to first lay down her rules. This is the expectations. And she was spot on with and a class on a Friday of 29 kids. So, I mean, good on her. It was
All of
awesome.
that stands in good stead, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
one, she can do it instantly, overnight, tune up, drive however long it is to get there, turn up,
Yes.
manage
So
that out
many.
of like, and then you're like, if you can do that on a Friday with all of those conditions and just at the drop of a hat, what the heck could you do for me
And
day
you
in, day
planned
out?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
and see, then my flip side is like, oh, you're always flying by the seat of your pants because you're good at it. I recognize that because I do that. So,
But again, that's okay. If it works, if it has positive outcomes, I don't really give a toss. But as long
Yeah.
as it has, like, if it's if it has the positive effect on student outcomes that we need,
exactly.
again,
Yeah.
it comes down to like, I'm a teacher that I always did. Okay, my sweetie, I did planning to tick a box, Vicky. To be honest, I never looked at a plan in my life when I taught
Mm, yeah.
because I knew my kids. I knew what they
Yeah.
needed. I needed the topic and I needed to run with it. I could never in my life stand in front of a PowerPoint and deliver it. Till today, I hate delivering a PowerPoint presentation for a PD. I hate
But
it. I'm like,
Mm,
people can read.
Saj, just don't.
People can read. And that's the thing. I was like, there you go. All of you can read. I'm sure you all can read. You have degrees in education. You're well versed to read this. I don't have to read to you. That's a waste of my time. It's boring to you. Let's just get on with it.
yeah.
I hate it when people stand in front of presentation and read to me like I'm an idiot. Like
Yeah.
it drives me nuts.
I think there's some really strong messages in here, in that one, if you are interviewing and you are putting things out there, be clear about what you're looking for. Like, and I think that saves a whole lot of us a guessing game. Like you said, Saj, don't try and conform and second guess to what they want, because ultimately I'm going to be me and put my stuff out there. And then if they want that, they want that. But I wish more people in advertising would say, I need a disruptor. We're in a time for change. Actually, we're in a time of wanting to set direction and strategic direction, or we're in a time of wanting to settle the ship and wanting consistency, or,
Mhm.
and then you'd know what you were damn well applying for. Or I know Sage at the moment is looking for disruptors. She's looking for
I just, yeah, I just wanted to
skilled,
jump in on that.
skilled, qualified, like capable, culturally safe, but people with decent pedagogy that will come in and shoot for the stars and not do what they normally do. That will
What do
disrupt
you,
the status quo.
um, stay on the line after Saj and tell me what grades. I know somebody who's looking to move, a teacher who's
Okay,
looking to move. So,
But
brilliant.
people with that, and at least you know what you're applying for.
Yeah, Anna, can I just add to that? And the thing is, like, the point of where you're saying with the disruptor, like, I'm in a place, and I mean, obviously, it's fantastic when you're putting that figures up and you're putting the percentage rates of staff turnover, in a SGG, and you're like, oh, the staff turnover is low, which is fabulous. But when you have people that are stuck in the same place for 6 years, they become complacent. There
Yeah.
is no change, and they just stuck in their ways. And I'm excited, to be honest. I'm excited to bring in fresh blood, fresh perspectives, and positive disruptors. I can't
Yeah.
wait. I'm ecstatic. I'm ready to start the year now.
And I love it. It's like about doing things the same but differently. Like you say about having people stay there for 6 years. I've always had a leadership thing. 3 years is your max that you can actually stay in the same grade or the same classroom.
Mm.
And then I actually move your grade or move your classroom or something, because actually you need to stay fresh. And as much as you might not like it, you actually got to keep just extending your horizons. I got a message this morning actually from a teacher that worked with me for a couple of years. She's gone home, and because of her experience with us, like she's a third, fourth, fifth year teacher this year. She's just starting tomorrow her Masters of Inclusion and Inclusion Leadership. And she found that that was her bent and her vein and her passion by being with us. And she has messaged me and she said, what the heck am I doing? I've got the course outline and it's all I've got. And I said, do the first session, we'll jump on a call and we'll set you up with some extra readings or some extra recordings or whatever, so you know where you're going and I can help through that. Number two, I do know the lecturer, God forbid she lectured me. So, hey. But number three, she said, we've done course introductions and everybody's got 10 or 20 years of leadership experience and da, 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 da. And my message to her was, yeah, so that have they been in the same situation for the last 20 years and they're very experienced at doing the same thing? Because you are actually bringing 5 years of world experience and experiences to the table that can be far more valuable than just 20 years of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know? But that's a massive, massive thing, is finding the clarity of who you want to work for and valuing the experiences that you do bring and what you can sell. Like Nick, you were talking about sometimes CVs go across and it's got, okay, this company or this context or whatever, and people cancel you out. So what can you do in your CV to minimize that, but maximize actually the incredible experiences you have? And one that's in the front load of first part of your CV and putting your schools and context further behind, but two, in that cover letter and in that additional file or portfolio that you attach to it. Because God, look at you, you're an incredible leader, an incredible learner. You've just gone off and done all of this, leading a new school, leading the school, changing positions, finishing a new qualification. All of those are gutsy skills that people need. And you undersell yourself.
And it sounds like if you've done all that.
Well, when I did the initial interview with that school and they were like, we're startup, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I've done three startup schools. The most recent one being 1,500 students. And she was like, what? And then I went on about all the initiatives and stuff that we've done this year so far and how I'm head of organizing them all and blah, 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 blah. But I had an interesting one there during the week. We had a guy come in and again, looking for a job and in a high performance school in Abu Dhabi, and said to him, out of interest, why do you want to leave a high performing school in Abu Dhabi and come here? Oh, well, I kind of want to look after me and life needs to slow down and blah, 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 blah. And I was kind of sitting there going, but we want to be a high performing school as and it didn't sound It sounded like he wanted the chilled route, and that he thought that coming to our school would be the chilled route. And so, what are you saying? Like, what are you thinking? Saying that it was an interesting one. I didn't know what to think of it.
Yeah, how you put yourself across.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I think it's a great question. Sometimes I think it's a really mean question, like why do you want to come to us?
Well, they asked me why I wanted to move, and I said, it's not that I don't like my school, it's not like I don't like the kids. And I explained the reason. This is why. She went, okay, that's fair enough. But I thought that was a weird one to say to potential employers. I want life to slow down, and life is so busy. So when I dug into it a bit more, he was traveling from Al Ain to Abu Dhabi every day. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's what he's on about.
But he could have said that. He could have said, like, I'm in a high-performing school. I drive every single day, 200 kilometers, or 300 kilometers in total. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be able to give to my school my full energy and bring back a little bit of balance in my life.
Yeah.
And that would have been put across slightly differently as to the way it is. And it is. It's how you communicate it. And 9 times out of 10, they are going to ask you, why do you want to move here? Why are you pivoting? And that's my thing is I often say, I want to pivot. I'm pivoting because I actually have found that I'm really interested in, and this is where, Vicky, we're right, you've got to get on the website and do things like, I want to do things differently. I value this. I see this in your company. I'm not one person to sit here in a situation where I feel like I can't impact. I want to impact more. And that was the attraction for the new company that I'm moving to is their website said, we do things differently. And I was like, oh, that's a little bit of me. Quite like doing things slightly different. We're not the norm. And for a lot of people, that scares them. But for me, that's like super appealing. And I was incredibly honest. Like I went into this interview and they said, well, what? And I said, what job are you interviewing me for? And they said, I don't know. And I don't know how many times I've gone into an interview where they've said, I don't know. And then jobs have been created for me when I've been really honest about what I like in companies or what I like to do for my work. I said being a principal is my 3rd favorite job. I don't actually like it. I love being a vice principal for this reason. And then they said to me, and I said, that's my 2nd favorite. And then what is your favorite? So I tell them about school improvement, about systems, about building people and things. And so they created a job for me.
Woohoo.
But you can do it. I know a little while ago when I was talking to her back in November, December, she said she sees this year as being a year where people can be true to themselves and finding the wheat from the rest of the stuff in the plant. A year of new beginning and getting down to your true self and stuff that really just brings you joy. And it's kind of exciting starting to look around the screen because, like, Vicky, you're landing in a place where you can actually be treated with care and kindness and find joy. And Angelique's so excited and so motivated about this next opportunity for her and her husband to live together and not travel too far and in different ways and actually in a job where she can impact and grow and find joy. Saj is beside herself with new opportunities that are coming. She's just blossoming and getting stuff thrown at her left, right, and centre because they're starting to really see what she can do. Now, they're starting to see what she can really do because she is valued and because someone is valuing her and she's feeling safe. And I really wish companies around the world would start to find the kindness because you get so much more from people. I was talking to someone who's not in education at all, in their first ever job in the whole wide world, and on a call to them on Thursday or Friday, and they said, I feel like I'm being gaslight, like being gaslit. I feel like she doesn't like me. And like we're talking about within 6 weeks of the job. And I said, tell me about what was going on. And about the first 10 minutes, I said, honey, it's because you're not kissing ass, because you are too honest in telling the truth. You're looking for a place where you can just do your real work and you don't have to go around and try and fake things and work out what somebody else wants. And there's another example of starting a career. And I said, unless you learn this stuff, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to be feeling up against it and not being able to perform in the way you want to perform for the rest of your life until you get into leadership. And it's really, really hard that you see that for somebody in their 20s starting a career, having to play a politics game. We've got too many leaders and across every sector of the universe that aren't skilled, that are killing a workforce.
No, because there's very little, the basis for promotion. It's what degrees or success at doing the job. And doing the job and helping others understand the job, not always the same.
Exactly. And the next job, a leadership job, is not necessarily the same skill base as
it's not.
doing the task that, somebody else is doing. The step below. Yeah. So Vicky, question, and then Angelique, and then Nick. What is the vision for 2025 for your leadership? What are you going to do? What's your impact going to be? What's in it for you and what's in it for your team?
Selfishly speaking, for me, I'm enjoying kind of starting to feel three-dimensional. You know, those when you get a balloon that's flat, and now I'm starting to slowly fill with air, because in my other few schools, I just had to fit into whatever space was there. And now I get to be three-dimensional. So I think I'm enjoying that, and I'm going to take a little bit of time to just enjoy that. The impact for the team in terms of things that make my mark, I'd like to give others the chance to feel some agency. But we've got, a lot of things, because the rest of the school has been there for 20 years. They want us by the end of the years to be as if we've been established for 20 years. So I picked one thing that's a tangible, and we'll get our planning at level. So that's the tangible that they'll take. And then I want them to feel happy and want to come to work.
Yeah. Nice. So first, it's about you reinflating.
Yeah.
And filling your own soul so that you can actually inflate others and give them the direction that they need. It's delightful. Absolutely delightful. Angelique, what's yours?
Mine is just finding out what they actually want from me in this position, because I can't find it anywhere. I can't find this label the title that they've given as like VP curriculum developer. I can't find it on any of their adverts anywhere. So I have no idea currently what the job description is. I know I have to take their...
But maybe they want you to define it.
I think so. So I have to go in and work again and reacquaint myself with the National Geographic stuff, because I know that's what they're using. And I haven't used that now for 2 years. So first I have to reacquaint myself with all of the National Geographic stuff.
My thing is, go back to a couple of months ago, I put up, I think last month, I put up a thing about the career success that Tessa, written by Tessa. Go in there and read that. And they said 99% of jobs don't follow the job description. All right. And the job description is nothing like the reality of the job. Now, in 2 of my last 3 jobs, there's not been a job description, and I've just created it myself after the fact. So if there isn't a clear job description, go in and do what you think. Like, listen for the mission and say, what is it you'd like me to do? And then write your own pathway. Like, If we could give you anything from all of this, I would say stop complying.
And I think, remember, you got the job when you actually presented them with something. I think that's the person they're looking for, the mover, the shaker, the maker.
Yeah. Somebody
Yes.
who has an idea and a vision because they're not too sure what they need and what they've got, but they've seen something in you and what you've presented that potentially could take them somewhere. And the difference between managing and leading, managing is doing what they want and doing the job description. Leading is creating the pathway. And so be the leader, not the manager. Right, Miss Nick, what's your vision?
Oh Lord,
There's a song that goes with that.
if I'm thinking about my current school, just getting more people to trust us and to buy into what we're trying to do and not be so negative towards change and see it as, you know, it's not a bad thing. Change is it. I'm not good with change, but like a lot of the change that we've brought in is for the good. And now when we bring in more change, they're all getting upset and angry and annoyed. And I'm like, why? I mean, we've changed this marketing and feedback policy to make it easier for you. We've changed this to make it less prescription for you. You know, just trying to get them out of the mindset of change is so bad and this is so bad and all this girl does is bring about change. But I'm trying to move the school forward. So I mean, we're having our Ertica inspection, our mini one in term 3, and I really want them to see a difference in the teaching and the learning.
Okay, if you're bringing about change, where do you start?
I mean, for me, I'm looking at all the teaching and learning. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at.
Do they see it as a need to change?
But they don't, you see, that's the problem. And I keep on saying to them,
do they know
why? Yes.
Do they know why you want to change, but not why from your perspective, why from their perspective?
Yes, and we've had the discussion and we've, you know, you didn't like the PowerPoints and we're not going to get more than acceptable if you're teaching off a PowerPoint. So now I want you to, I mean,
go back to the way that we were.
they now exactly they are kind of nearly stuck back in because it was so drilled into them of you have to have this PowerPoint and you have to have these 15 slides, and that got us to acceptable. It got us to acceptable. But now I'm saying to them, you know, this is what we did in KG and this is how the teaching and learning in KG came out with good features. I mean, we came out with good features. So I keep on saying to them, we don't want to, you guys can do better than this. Be creative, take risks, get out of the classroom, think a little bit outside the box.
Yeah, but what you're asking them to do is to move away from safety. You're asking them to think. You're asking them to take a risk. Do they feel safe in taking a risk? You're asking them to move from something that's really easy to actually something where it's harder to plan for yourself. It's harder to actually stand up and perform, and you're actually in the same situation as what Saj is looking for and interviewing for, is what you're trying to develop from within.
We've taken away lesson planning. So there was lesson plans that to be submitted on a Thursday. I used to go through them in KG and give them feedback, whatnot. And then I was told, it's such a waste of time. You're having people focus on administrative tasks of filling out this template that you've given them where they should be thinking about the lesson. So this was a big one for me. I had to let go of the lesson planning and say, you can plan on a piece of toilet paper if you want, as long as it's planned. And then the only time we require you to submit planning on this template, which is 1 page, is if we have an inspection.
Nick, go back 5 or 6 years and that's where you started.
Yeah. So it's
and go back to how you felt, like you were there and you go, but what is it I need? But what is it I need? All right, and you know exactly how that feels. So put on their shoes and lead from there.
We're doing a mini. So we've divided the school into phases, and we're doing like a mini internal review at the moment. So the K-2 phase is my phase. So that's coming up on Monday. And they're all really nervous about it. And I said to them, look, you know, you have your real journey, which is your observation rubric thing. I was like, when we go in, we're looking for the green to grow. So if it was greenness to growth, that's what you have to grow. So we're looking for that. They're all really nervous. I said, they're not to be nervous, because if you had an outstanding lesson and we go in and your lesson falls flat in its face because you've tried something new or something is different, I said, we're not going to move you back down and say that your lesson was weak. We're going to say, you took the risk, you need to learn from this. These are the next steps if you try it again. Invite us back in. And I kind of think that kind of put a lot of them at ease of, okay, it's not a judgment per se. It's more of a, this is what you did. Here are your next steps. You're not going to go backwards. You can only go forwards.
The secret will be in this is how you guys actually respond when someone fails or someone falls over or someone takes that risk and it doesn't quite work, and how you guys communicate that, how you guys lead that and support that person. And that will be the credibility behind your statement. And all it takes is one person to experience that positively and no one to experience that negatively, and then you will get the growth. But the minute that someone gets slammed or picked at or told about a billion things for doing something that is negative, like it hasn't quite worked, then all the trust in that disappears. So the key tomorrow is actually on you guys, in that finding somebody who doesn't quite get it right and building them and telling them how successful this part has been and helping them to build that, and then you will begin to see it blossom.
Well, we did
that's
that's
middle what happened with you.
We did middle school and we did grades 3 to 5, and it was never, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. It was, this is what went well. We like this, and this. These are your next steps. So there was no, I don't think there was any slamming. But then again, we then got someone go to the principal and go, oh, we're not happy with the feedback. And he got really upset with them because he was like, no, did you hear the feedback? Did you hear what was said? You weren't there. You were coming to me on the basis that one person has said they're not happy with their feedback. You won't even tell me who it is. They're an interesting bunch, Arna.
Yeah, I get it.
They're an interesting bunch.
Absolutely. You know, in the team that I'm looking at, the biggest thing I can see is that they've got a whole lot of skill base, they've got a whole lot of experience, and they're doing exactly what we've been talking about. They're trying to do what is expected. And when we sat and I talked the new SLT through and what this building as to what they were saying, and they were really frustrated. And I said, well, what I can hear and what I can see is a whole lot of people that are too scared to think. They're too scared to do what they know they can do. And so the mission for this new school and new campus is how can we help people think?
We're getting
and feel
a really, really
confident to think.
interesting. We're getting a really, really interesting bit of software in. It's called Iris Connect. Have you heard of it? And I think that would be really cool, because closing the reality gap of what they think they've done as opposed to what you've seen, and then being able to talk with them through the earpieces and say to them, right, now let's try this, or you've spoken out. I think that'd be really, really interesting, as because we're going really along the lines of coaching, and we've developed. How many people are coaches? About 10 people within the lower school are coaches, and they've all received the training for coaching and whatnot. So I think that bit of software as well will really help.
That's really nice. Saj, what's your software that you're bringing in?
Iris Connect. Iris, like eyeballs. Connect.
Yeah, it's the same one. It's the same one.
Yeah,
it's the same one.
Yeah. That's what I thought. I thought it was the same one. Okay, Saj, you've just bounced back in. Just as we finish up, what is your vision for this year, and what it like for you and for your team?
Getting to good. That's my vision. My teaching philosophy at the moment in teaching and learning is we all on the same journey, and we're on this journey to getting to good. It was interesting, Nicola saying like how to get them to buy into it. Is like I just did a book scrutiny or book audit, and I usually have the teams do like each other's grade levels. So each GLI takes a different grade level and does it. And obviously they were like, oh, it's very positive and whatever. And I went randomly through a class list and I said, bring me your math book from 3A, bring me your math book from 3B, and so on. And I laid it out all in the boardroom, and I looked at it with SLT, and we found where we feel the gaps are or the inconsistencies lie. But then I invited all the GLIs to come in and do this across the book. So there was no grade level, visible to any of them. I had them open up at random pages, and I said, give me your feedback. I need a post-it on every single book, and I need feedback. I need a strength, and I need a next step. And they found that really powerful. They found they were things that they pointed out that I didn't even consider, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is a good exercise. This is a good activity."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, now I want you to go back and do it with your teams as a whole. So instead of asking them, say, just bring books. Let's lay it out and let's decide as a grade level where the inconsistencies lie and what we need to work on." So again, it's impactful when it's them doing the judgment. What we've done also when we did our lesson observations is take our GLIs with us for as many as we could possibly and have them share their perspective. And it's like, oh, they were like, oh, this one's, on the inspection rubric as it is. They're like, oh, this is good. I said, okay, what made it good? Give me what you perceive to be good. And then I was like, and then I brought the rubric out and I was highlighting the key points. And I was like, did you see this, this, and this? Ah, no, and actually not. I said, so how do we say it's good? Did you count literally how many students were working at and above grade level and made expected and better than expected progress in order to get that good rating? And even where they marked a person down, I said, okay, tell me why. Tell me why you said this person was acceptable at this. Let's look at the rubric because it's not about your feelings. Take away the feelings.
Exactly.
It's not about feelings, people. It's about black and white. Here's the rubric. Let us highlight. And that's the thing. They look at the judgments and they're like, oh, this one's acceptable, this one's weak, this one's very good, whatever. There's the rubric. There's a rubric for a reason. We need to follow the rubric. You need to highlight the key points. And that's even when you say about teachers that are on support plans or that we're coaching. It's about them understanding the rubric because you can send them the email, you send them the rubric. Nobody takes their time to read the bloody rubric. I don't even understand why.
Oh, Saj, I miss you.
It's all it is about show me, don't tell me.
Yeah.
Show me, don't tell me. And like my new work going in school improvement is I am not going to be that person that barks out the orders. Let me get along beside you and show you, give you a model. Let's show you how that works. Let me teach the next person in line so that you can, and then I will sit with you in that next meeting that you are having with that person, be it the vice principal supporting the head of department or the grade level leader or whatever. I will show you through their planning to start with and their leadership and and we'll pull it apart and I will teach you. And then I will sit with you in the next meeting and be as your co-coach and your support as you lead the next one, because I'm not just going to assume that you've got it from this. I'm going to support you so that I can see that you're confident in practice, and then you lead that. And it's show, don't tell.
Well, Anna, there's a bit of shows, and there's a bit of tells, to be honest. Because I'm so tired also of teachers that are, can you model this for me? Can leadership model? If I hear that one more time in my life, I'm going to shoot somebody. Because yes, I am a leader because I was able I was able to execute that effectively. Just to be fair, I didn't become a leader because I was shit at my job. So that's the things that they tend to forget. And then also when the ball is in their court and I'm like, okay, I'm coming to show you. Oh, now I'm overwhelmed. You too much in my classroom. So I'm like, you know what, guys, like decide what you want. Like
you're never going to please all of the people all of the time. Never. But the more you show, the more you model, the greater your credibility and the less argument they can bring back.
True.
because you're like, actually, it can be done. I'll show you. You
Now,
know,
some people just take the piss. It's ridiculous.
and those that don't go, those that don't leave because it gets too hard.
Yeah,
You know. So.
absolutely.
Right, team, it's 9:34 and I am going out for coffee at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to wind this up and talk to you all again soon. Nick, hurry up, get those applications going. I want to fill out some more referee reports. Hurry up. But get in there and let's see the impact and see what's going. Sarge, good luck with the interviews and the performance tasks over the next few weeks. And finding
Absolutely.
what
I'm
you need.
excited. I'm
Vicky?
excited.
Vicky, start loving being loved and, you know, enjoying the nice. And Angelique, pave your own pathway. Find your way of doing it. Create
Can
what
I
you
just
need.
can I just sign the papers first?
I'll just get brave. Come on. Get brave.
Can I just check about housing and sound papers first?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Looking forward to catching up, team. All right.
You didn't tell
Thanks.
us about your job. Next time, tell us about you.
I shall. When am I allowed to say, Saj?
Tomorrow morning at 4 o'clock.
Tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow.
We'll all
it's
be getting a WhatsApp at 4
day
tomorrow.
away.
I'll be waiting.
One more day, Saj. One more day. Anyway, okay. Have a great week. Have a great little while, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. I'll send some messages out.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Ciao, ciao.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.